Hey guys, does this sound familiar? You've been living in your house for a few years, and suddenly you notice these nasty little black spots creeping up in the corners, on the ceiling, or deep in your shower grout. Most people's first instinct is to run straight to the cleaning aisle at Home Depot or Target and grab the fanciest, most expensive, heavy-duty mold remover they can find. You drop, like, 15 or 20 bucks on a single spray bottle, take it home, spray it everywhere, feeling super productive. And what happens? Absolutely nothing. Let me tell you why it didn't work. Because that overpriced magic liquid you just bought, yeah, over 100% of it is literally just water and sodium hypochlorite, aka bleach. It physically cannot penetrate your walls or porous materials to actually kill the roots of the mold. All it does is forcefully bleach the melanin on the surface so you can't see it anymore. It's basically an optical illusion. And here's the kicker. Once the surface moisture dries, the roots left deep inside your drywall actually drink up the water from that spray. You just gave them a free nutritional smoothie. Give it a few weeks, and those exact same black spots are going to pop right back up, looking just as ugly as before. And just like that, the vast majority of consumers get trapped in this endless, frustrating loop. It's less than #0. One hash is greater than you get mold. You buy an expensive spray, it fades, and bam, it grows right back. You want to know why it's set up this way? Because the multi-million-dollar chemical execs and the entire supply chain profiting off this cycle absolutely do not want you to know a ridiculously cheap, incredibly simple truth. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Jarrett Min. Every day, I'm here exposing the everyday secrets they don't want you to know. Okay, so here's the deal. Commercial mold removers are totally useless because they are fundamentally tricking your eyes. Listen, mold isn't just dust sitting on your wall. It's a microscopic fungus. Those black and green spots you're seeing, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Just the spores and surface pigment it uses to reproduce. The true beating heart of the mold is the mycelium, a massive, tangled root system buried deep inside your walls. Think about modern building materials. Drywall, wood studs, unpainted partitions, even the grout between your tiles. Under a microscope, they are all highly porous. They act like giant sponges packed with microscopic tunnels you can't even see. And guess what? The mold's roots have already snaked their way through those tunnels, digging deep into the paper backing and gypsum of your drywall. Now, let's talk about those miracle supermarket sprays. Like I said, they're 90% water and bleach. When you spray that onto porous drywall or wood, you trigger the most absurd chemical reaction ever. Bleach molecules are huge, and they have insanely high surface tension. They literally cannot squeeze into the tiny pores of the wood or drywall. So the bleach just sits on the surface, doing its day job, bleaching. It forcibly strips the black pigment off the mold, making it invisible to the naked eye. But wait, if the bleach can't get in, what does? You guessed it, the water. The 90% water content in that spray, having much smaller molecules, effortlessly slips right into the deep layers of the porous material, landing directly on the mold's roots. And what does mold crave more than anything? Moisture. So yeah, you literally just watered your mold and helped it grow faster. You can't make this stuff up. Seriously. If you think getting scammed out of 20 bucks by cleaning companies is frustrating, you haven't seen the dark side of the American home remediation industry. According to recent industry data, the mold remediation market in the US is an absolute cash cow. How are these guys making so much money off of us? 2 words: information gap and extreme fear marketing. So, if commercial sprays are a scam and calling in the pros costs an arm and a leg is less than #0, 1 hash is greater than, what on earth are regular folks supposed to do? Believe it or not, the answer is hiding over 100 years in the past, sitting on the dusty bottom shelf of your local grocery store's laundry aisle. I'm talking about a natural mineral powder that costs maybe 3 to 5 bucks a pound, borax. A lot of people don't know this, but California is actually the historical birthplace of borax. If you know anything about the 19th century mining history in Death Valley, you've probably heard of the famous 20 mule teams. Back in that hellish, extreme climate, the white crystals those pioneers painstakingly hauled out of the dry salt lakes with mule wagons, that was natural borax ore. Way before World War II, the old school carpenters and masons already knew this stuff was magic. They would mix borax powder into water and literally paint it all over the foundation timber the framing studs, and the stone walls. Wood treated this way is almost impossible to mold. Even termites and carpenter beetles won't touch it. Honestly, the reason so many century-old Victorian houses still have rock-solid wooden frames today is entirely because of this cheap layer of mineral crystals. But then, the modern petrochemical industry exploded, and highly profitable synthetic chemicals pushed natural minerals right out the door. We're talking about generations of consumers totally brainwashed by overwhelming marketing campaigns. Everyone just sort of forgot about this cheap, highly effective, and non-toxic common sense solution. Why? Because borax is a natural mineral. You can't slap an exclusive patent on it, which means the profit margins are practically zero. So, the entire industry just silently agreed to bury it. So why does a $15 heavy-duty bleach spray only treat the symptoms while a $3 box of borax straight up annihilates the mold at its core? It all comes down to some seriously hardcore biology and physics. When borax goes up against mold, it's not even a fair fight. First off, it completely wrecks their digestive system and literally starves the mold to death. Mold is heterotrophic. It doesn't have a mouth. It survives by secreting specific enzymes into its environment to break down the cellulose in your wood or the paper on your drywall into sugars, which it then absorbs. When natural borax crystals come into contact with mold, the borate ions mercilessly hijack the fungus's cellular metabolism. For a mold spore, absorbing borax is the equivalent of a human swallowing a stomach full of crushed glass and toxic heavy metals. It instantly destroys their super fragile enzyme system. Second, we're talking about super penetration and cellular dehydration. It turns the mold into an absolute mummy. Unlike bleach, with its high surface tension, when you dissolve borax in hot water, is less than H0. 1 hash is greater than it easily travels down the capillary networks of porous materials, reaching the deepest, darkest layers right where the mold lives. Plus, the one non-negotiable thing mold needs to survive and breed is high humidity. Physically, borax is an incredibly strong natural desiccant. When it binds to the inside of your walls, it aggressively sucks up trace amounts of moisture from the surrounding environment, totally altering the local osmotic pressure. The second a mold cell wall touches it, the fluid inside the cell is violently sucked dry. Third, it changes the pH level and creates a permanent anti-mold force field. Most common, nasty indoor molds absolutely love setting up camp in slightly acidic environments, usually a pH between 5 and 7. But borax dissolved in water is mildly alkaline, sitting pretty stably at a pH of about 9.3. When you coat a mold-prone area with a borax solution and let it dry completely, it leaves behind an invisible, slightly alkaline mineral crystal network permanently bonded to the wall. Any new spores that blow in on the breeze and land on that wall are going to find themselves in an absolute hellscape. The pH is so hostile, they won't even have the chance to sprout. It literally chokes off the physical conditions required for mold to reproduce right at the source. I know a ton of you are probably itching to go try this right now. Is less than H0. 1 hash is greater than, but hold on, I need to warn you about something. Different types of mold situations require entirely different strategies. This is exactly what separates the pros from the amateurs. Guys, if you're dealing with black spots inside the silicone caulk in your bathroom, that squishy sealant around the tub, borax honestly isn't going to do much. Silicone is 100% waterproof and completely non-porous, meaning the borax water can't soak in. If the mold has already rooted deep inside the silicone, the only true fix is to take a razor blade, completely scrape out the old caulk, clean the area spotless, and lay down some fresh, high-quality kitchen and bath silicone that actually has an anti-mold agent built right in. Now, if you're dealing with painted drywall on your bathroom walls or ceilings, and you're seeing those little water droplet-shaped black or green spots, borax is an absolute rock star for this. This is the perfect scenario. Just wipe down the surface first, then spray a nice, thin layer of borax water over it. The borax will dry and form an incredibly strong protective shield right on top of the paint. What if you're looking at exposed wood studs or unpainted concrete walls in your basement or garage, and the mold is covering a massive area? Like, it looks powdery or fluffy, and the smell is just aggressively musty? This is the danger zone. It's less than H0. 1 hash is greater than. But borax is highly effective here too. The borax water will soak deep into the wood fibers to kill the hidden mold roots and its alkaline properties will actually stop future groundwater vapor from condensing and growing new mold. And if you're dealing with yellowing or black grout between your shower tiles, grout is super porous. Just clean off the surface grime, spray it down with borax water, and let it naturally soak right into the grout lines. Once it dries, not only is it mold-proof, but it's totally odor-proof too. Finally, I gotta be super real with you. This method is not a magic wand for everything. If your house just went through a catastrophic pipe burst, or a storm ripped off your roof, or your basement has been sitting in knee-deep water for 2 weeks, if you push on your drywall and it just caves in like a wet sponge, and the inside of the walls is covered in terrifying, toxic, black fuzzy mold, do not try to fix this yourself. Just swallow your pride and make the call. This means your structural materials and load-bearing wood have completely rotted out and lost their mechanical strength. In extreme situations like this, you have to contact your insurance company and pay the big bucks for a professional crew in full hazmat suits to smash the walls, run industrial dehumidifiers, and do a massive structural rebuild. I'm not joking around is less than #0. 1 hash is greater than that is a literal life safety issue. But listen, for over 90% of us regular families, those little black dots creeping up the shower caulk, the tiny mold patches on the windowsill from winter condensation, the green fuzz just starting to spread on the garage drywall after weeks of rain, or that faint, musty smell in the basement when spring hits. These super common early stage mold problems can absolutely be killed dead in their tracks before they cause any real damage. And you can do it with a mineral powder that costs $3 a pound. This is honestly just basic life knowledge that humans figured out decades, even a century ago. But thanks to the relentless bombardment of the massive corporate capitalist machine, flashy commercials, and manufactured chemical panic, the public has slowly lost the ability to think critically and solve basic problems. We've willingly turned ourselves into ATMs for overpriced, totally ineffective chemical consumer goods. In an era of crazy inflation and skyrocketing labor costs, why on earth should we let someone dig into our pockets for thousands of dollars to fix maintenance issues we can easily solve ourselves for a few bucks and a few minutes of our time? Stop being the sucker that gets harvested. Guys, starting today, march down to the bottom shelf of your grocery store, grab a cheap bag of borax, pick a weekend, throw on some gloves, and handle it yourself. You're not just creating a totally safe breathing environment for your whole family, you are legitimately saving yourself thousands of dollars in potential home repair bills.